And welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here with you.
It's so nice to finally meet you. We have been trying to connect for a year.
Yes. And a baby later and natural
Yes, you're a
disasters
new.
later. Here we are.
Yeah, so you have had a baby. Is this your first baby?
Yes. First
Oh,
baby.
congratulations, new mom. I love that. That's awesome. And then I think we were supposed to meet in July, which is when Hurricane Beryl hit my house. And so that was a disaster for sure that we were dealing with. So nothing terrible on the house, but the property definitely, we had a lot of stuff going on. So, anyway, all of that to say, a year later, I'm really glad you're here. I have been looking forward to this conversation about meditation for a long time. You have written this book called Meditation for the Real World. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding it up. If you are listening to me in your ears, I love this cover. I think it is such a great representation of what the book offers, which looks like someone on public transportation, maybe a subway, maybe a bus. And it's all of these people hunched over, looking at their phones. And there's one lone person just sitting. She has her backpack on, headphones on, and her eyes closed. She just has a look of peace on her face in the midst of the chaos of transportation. What I love about this book is you have incorporated all of the real life stuff in it. But before we get into that, I would like it if you could back up and tell us some of the benefits of meditation. I know there's so many, but maybe include some that people are not as familiar with or that might be surprising.
Yes. A lot of people come to meditation to improve their focus. It's like boot camp for your focus, like exercise for your brain. It's a skill, it's not something you're born with. You learn the skill, keep refining it, and get better at it. And then it opens up new doors and affects every aspect of your life. When you're able to focus better, you can build on your relationships, you can improve your work, you can be able to fulfill whatever your dreams are with more clarity. So I find that it's really beneficial for focus. Now, also, we have many physiological benefits like helping to manage blood pressure, helping with heart health overall, cardiovascular health, building new neural pathways, breaking bad habits, and getting into good habits that you are aligned with. So there's many other benefits to pretty much every system of your body, improving immunity, less sick days at work when you can manage your stress. So obviously helping to manage stress, which pervades into every aspect of our lives.
It's quite remarkable how many physiological benefits there are, considering it's just breathing. And I know it's not just breathing, but it seems like it should be more complicated than that because it's so accessible.
Yes.
And I like how you said it's a skill that you learn and likened it to reading. Because one thing I have heard from a lot of people, and I'm going to let you speak to this, is like, well, I can't meditate because I have, I hear the term monkey brain, I hear
Mhm.
the term ping pong, our mind just goes do, 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 do. And then it's like, well, I'm no good at this. Can you talk to us and maybe give us some encouragement or give us an approach to what to do when that, not even if, but when that happens?
Yes, it's definitely a win. So it's a simple practice, but it's not easy because research shows that our minds wander, that monkey mind you're speaking of, 47% of our waking hours. That's a lot of time. When we're doing something, we're thinking about something else, whether you're doing the dishes or you're in a conversation, you're watching your child, you're thinking about something other than what you're doing. The amazing thing about this research that was published in the prestigious journal Science is that they found it was correlated with unhappiness when you're thinking about something else. It seems to be the cause of unhappiness when you're not present and engulfed. We know this like flow state. When we get fully engulfed, we feel motivated and happy and connected. We have all experienced that it is happiness to be present, but it is a skill you learn. People think that meditation is just focusing on the focal points. The teacher will give you whatever the focal point may be. It could be your breath. It could be your body sensations. It could be a word you repeat, or maybe a prayer you're repeating over and over again. You're just supposed to focus in on that. So that's the first step. That's not the whole thing, okay? The second step, inevitably, no matter how good of a meditator you are, no matter how much practice you've had, the second step is your mind will wander. And then the third step is what makes it different than just everyday daydreaming. The third step is you are going to notice that your mind has wandered, and you'll catch it and you'll determine, is this important or not? So, say you're repeating a phrase. We're just repeating the word love, love, cultivating a sense of love. You're repeating this word, and your mind starts to think about what you're going to eat for dinner later. Is that
Oh, for sure.
important in this 10 minutes or this 5-minute meditation practice where you're going to eat dinner later? No, because you can get back to that with a greater sense of clarity in 10 minutes. It'll probably come to you, right? You can plan it and text your partner about what to get at the grocery store, but that's not that important. However, if you start to smell smoke and you realize the house might be on fire, guess what? That is important. Abandon meditation and you can come back to the meditation later. So you're going to determine, is this important or not? And then if it's not, you're going to redirect back to your focal point, in this case, repeating the word love, love, love. And it's a cycle. It's going to keep happening over and over and over again. But the more you practice, the better you get at having a longer period of time able to focus and be present. And like I said, that's boot camp for your focus, for your brain. So you're going to be able to do that in real life more often.
I appreciate how you gave us that fourth step of redirecting, because what is very easy to do and what I have done is you notice the brain going, and then typically, like for me, the fourth step is I suck at this. I shouldn't, why even bother? I'm not doing this anymore.
But it's natural. That happens to everybody. You're
Yes.
just human. That's all that means.
Right. Yeah. I appreciate how you're saying this is normal. And then here's the next step. Just repeat the process, knowing that it's going to happen brings down the expectation of it being perfect, or that I'm just going to clear my mind. I do some mindful breathing every morning. I set a timer for 5 minutes and that's it. I have a therapist who encourages us to do 3 breaths once an hour. And I love that idea. And I just don't do that. So I probably should. There are a lot of different ways of going about that. And before I get to that, I was wondering if we could back up as someone who is educating others about the benefits of meditation. There are probably some common misunderstandings about it. Can you point some of those out? So if we, myself included, are thinking, oh, this is what meditation is, or this is what I have to do to be successful at it, maybe you can redirect those thoughts to, no, actually it is. And that's just a misunderstanding.
Yeah, well, we already covered the first one, which is that you have to clear your mind. You have to be completely focused on this focal point or else you're not meditating. That's the process. The other thing is people think they have to carve out 10, 20, 30 minutes a day to meditate. But throughout the book, Meditation for the Real World, I have 1-minute meditations or less, like you're saying, just a 1 breath meditation. So you don't have to spend a long time to get the benefits. Actually, I would hypothesize that strategically placed 1-minute meditations are going to be more impactful in your life than a longer one in many ways. Say you arrive to a stressful meeting on Zoom and you're just a couple minutes early. Rather than scrolling your phone, you can sit tall, take a few deep breaths, notice your surroundings, settle your energy. And then when the meeting starts, you'll be able to be more clear, articulate, engaged. So whatever it may be, your child's throwing a temper tantrum. That's a thing, taking a 1 breath meditation, tapping into your intuition and what you know is right, and then approaching that situation. So I would say these small mini meditations are even more impactful. And then my third thing that I'd say is a misconception is that you have to sit on the floor. You have to have incense and chanting in the background or something like that. But really, anybody can meditate of any background. You can sit in a chair. You can be at your desk, look away from the computer. I can guide you through a 1 minute meditation in a moment if you'd like. So you
Would
can
love
do it
that.
anywhere, anytime, and you don't have to have perfect silence or chanting in the background that may feel uncomfortable to you. It can be adapted to feel more comfortable to you.
Okay. I'm going to take you up on that 1 minute meditation, and we're going to put that toward the end
Yeah, let's do it.
of our time together. So don't let me forget, but I definitely would love for you to do that. I'm wondering, and if you could, I mean, this sounds, I feel like this is a silly question, but for those of us who want to do things right or who want to make sure that we are intentional, like when you say take some deep breaths, are there some words to guide us
Mhm.
in how to make that the most effective
Yes.
for having that deep cleansing breath? Because I know that if I go,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and if you can't see me right now, like I've got a stressed face, I've got my neck is tense. I'm pretty sure that's not what you're talking about. I'm breathing from my chest.
Yes, yes.
So,
I have a whole
yeah,
section in the book, and I'm looking for it in my copy here, but my copy's in Korean, so it looks a little different. But it's how to breathe. That's what the whole section
yes,
is, and so we want to follow these tips that have a physiological basis behind them. One is to nose breathe. Breathe in and out through your nose, unless otherwise instructed. There may be another reason, but for the most part, 99% of the time, we're going to be breathing in and out of the nose. And that's going to help filter the air, make the air the right temperature, as well as help encourage release of a chemical called nitric oxide. And this helps to lower your blood pressure and kill like bad bacteria and pathogens. So it improves your immunity also. Lowering your blood pressure and dilating your blood vessels is going to help you be more calm. So there's physiological benefits breathing through the nose. So that's the first thing. The other thing is we want to breathe low and slow. The way you just described that kind of stressful breath, that was a high breath. That was up in the chest. And I know this because my family growing up, it would always be like my mom and dad were very stressed in their careers and they, you see their
right.
shoulders lift and it's all up in the collarbones and in the chest. That's chest breathing. That's not it. It's low and slow, low into the lower part of your ribs and even your abdomen's moving with your breath. And then slow and steady to like a comfortable, not so slow that it's uncomfortable, finding that place that feels not forced to you, but easeful. So we want a low and slow breath and out through the nose. So we can try just a couple of breaths. So sit so you can breathe, not slouched over. Sit as tall as you comfortably can. Or even if you're driving right now, you can sit a little taller and take a few deep, slow, low breaths through the nose. You might even hear a subtle whisper sound in that breath, like the sound of the ocean, if you tune into it and focus on it. Allow and feel your abdomen to move with your breath. You fill up with the inhales, expanding, and then releasing down and inward with the exhales. So that is the low and slow breath. Make it easeful, not forced.
That's great. Who knew we would get to relax everything in the middle of an interview? Thank you for that. One of the things that I have been learning recently is how important the breath is. I find it interesting as someone who grew up always concerned about her body and making sure that she didn't look like her stomach was hanging out. I spent
Mm.
years always holding in my stomach
Yeah.
or engaging my core. It's great when you're doing squats and deadlifts and push ups. Not so great when you're just going about your day. I'm wondering if you could speak to the benefits of releasing our abdomen when it's not imperative that it is engaged.
Absolutely. Because what happens is we're told to suck it in when we're really young, right? And all the things
Right.
you just described, you feel this pressure to suck it in, especially as a woman. And when we watch, I just had a baby 5 months ago, and when I watch my baby breathe, or even your cat or dog at home, you watch them breathe, what happens to their abdomen? With the inhales, it expands like we just experienced, and with the
Yes.
exhales, it goes in. They allow that expansion and movement of the abdomen. This is diaphragmatic breathing. Our diaphragm is right at the lower part of our rib cage, right underneath, and it's a dome shape. And with the inhales, it domes down to make room for the breath. With the exhales, it returns back up. And we want to allow that natural movement. But when we're sucking it in all the time, we're not recruiting the diaphragm properly. The diaphragm is going to help massage your internal organs, improve your digestion. It's going to encourage a better, deeper, fuller breath where you're getting more oxygen from the breath. It's going into the lower parts of your lungs. And it's just going to help you feel the low and slow breath and all the benefits of going into the parasympathetic nervous system state. That's that rest, digest, and rejuvenate state. So that's why we want to allow that movement of the abdomen while we breathe. Take inspiration from babies and puppies who are not told to suck it in.
Yes, that's great to know. And I love that visual because I can just think about my newborn babies, and it is almost like the entire lower half of their torso expands, contracts. It's not the rib cage, it's not the upper half, it's the lower half.
Yeah.
So that's a great visual, and puppies too. And my old dog.
Now everybody's going to look at
Still.
their dogs, cats, and babies today and be inspired by their breathing.
Exactly. Okay, now if they are inspired and they're like, okay, I'm convinced I want to start meditating, where would people start? Because I'm pretty sure your answer is not going to be get down on the ground, light a candle, sit cross-legged, and do this for 30 minutes.
Yeah, less than 10 minutes for sure is where I would start. It's a skill you're learning, right? In the beginning, it's gonna be a little harder, and give it a try. I have on meditationfortherealworld.com a free gift to your listeners. They can check out the book, Meditation for the Real World, and I have a 5-day meditation challenge, less than 10 minutes a day, and I explain what we do. So that's something that they could do to get started, as well as these little 1-minute meditations. The book is filled with meditations for each situation, right? You're going to be more likely to practice if you notice that when I meditate right before I pick my kids up from school, I'm going to be more present with my kids. When I meditate before a big interview, I'm going to be more articulate. When I meditate before bed, I sleep a little better. When I meditate in the morning, I can set my intention for the day. A lot of people I work with meditate before or after prayer so that they can feel more connected. So finding something that you're already doing in your life that you're like, this is going to help me, and place the meditation right next to it. That's a really great place to start. And that's how we build habits, is we find something we already have a habit of. Every morning I journal or I write my list of things to do. You write your list of things to do and you pray in the morning, right? Meditate before, to set that tone, to get in touch with your intuition. We think of prayer as speaking to God, but meditation is listening. So take that time to also listen.
That is right aligned with habit stacking. I'm
Yes,
sure
it is.
you've heard of by James Clear.
I quote him
Yes,
in the
yes.
book about that.
So one of the things I have to say, this book is awesome. I think it is so visually appealing. It's funny because I was reading through this, I was like, this is so very different. There are colors, there are diagrams. It is what I would call easily digestible. You can skim through, find a headline or a chapter and read about it, what applies to you. It makes it so easy. I don't like saying books are easy to read because I know how laborious words are, but it makes it a very enjoyable, peaceful way of consuming your vast knowledge and with heavily research, which I, as a research junkie, I really love and appreciate. One of the things that I noticed was the rainbow example. And I was wondering if you could share that with us, because even though most of my community have children who are young adults and growing, I know a lot of them also have grandchildren. And
Ah.
so this was one of your examples of how to engage younger children with meditating. And I have to say, even the way that you described it in the book, I thought, well, I could do that. I mean, I don't need a 4-year-old in my presence to do this. This is something that I could do. So could you share with people the rainbow?
Yeah, the book is very visual. And so this is a kind of visual example. My publisher is DK. And for those of you who know the publisher, they do a lot of children's books, the
They
I
do.
series, the Lego series. And so they're really visually engaged educational books. So we're adults, but we learn better in that children's book kind of style to get the information, little bits and pieces. This technique is a classic. You have the child draw a rainbow. And so you just sit there and draw a rainbow with them. And then it's tactile. So you take your finger or even the crayon and trace around the rainbow arch. And you inhale as you do that. Then you trace back over the other side, the other direction, and you exhale. And just go back and forth and breathe deeply, following the rainbow from red to purple to engage your tactile sensations. I find that's really helpful for children. Another way to do this breathing technique is on your hand. If you have the palm of your hand forward, I'll describe it for those of you just listening, and you take a finger and trace it down and around the thumb and up the pointer finger. That's the inhale. And then down, exhale. And you can just follow the breath by physically touching the outside of the fingers down the hand, tracing around the hand. Finding something to engage all the senses is especially good for children, but it's good for us adults too.
Yeah, it really is. I thought that was just fantastic. One of the complaints that I hear from women in my community, in my age group, is this challenge with sleep. I've heard various things about breathing and sleeping and meditating. One common thing I hear is a woman wakes up, she goes to bed, goes to sleep just fine, but then she wakes up at 3 or 4 in the morning and the lights turn on in her head and just and things get going and they cannot stop. It may not even be that they're stressed, they just can't stop it. Do you have any guidance or techniques when that happens to help get us back to sleep quickly, preferably?
Yes, yes. So I just experienced this being pregnant and postpartum, and it's a hormonal thing. So whether in menopause or where you are in your cycle, it's definitely related to that for women. And that time, they call it the witching hour for babies. It's like a time that we tend to have that. What I'd like to share with you is actually would be a great one for us to do that 1 minute meditation to close out as the techniques. I'll describe it first. So
Okay.
we're going to follow the concept of down. We actually already talked about bringing the breath down. So bringing the breath down to allow your abdomen to move. We're going to bring several other things down. So you're going to settle down, which means settling down, lying down. Maybe you need to adjust your pillows. Maybe you want to lie on your back. However, you need to get comfortable, settle down, do any wiggles you need to get comfortable. Then you're going to squeeze your muscles from head to toe. So working your way down your body. You'll squeeze your face, your shoulders, your arms. I'll guide you through it in a moment. Your belly, all the way down your
Okay,
body.
quick question
Mhm.
though. Like all at once, like you are, so when you get to your toes, you're going to be totally squeezing
One at
everything,
a
or is it just
time. We'll do it
okay?
in a 1 minute meditation format, but it could take a little longer when you're in bed. You could take your time. You can also scan down where you're not squeezing, just visually imagining a light going down, your body settling down. So we're going to do that and slow our breath down. There's all these cues that have to do with down. You don't have to memorize the order. It's in the book under the sleep section. You don't have to memorize the order though. It's whatever you remember. And maybe in the middle of the night, you like the squeezing down technique. Maybe you like the scanning down technique. Maybe just bringing the breath down and feeling the breath works for you. I'll go through all of those in a 1 minute meditation so you can experience them and see what you like. And you just do what you remember. You don't have to open up your phone and find a meditation in the middle of the night. No, just do what you remember. The other thing that I find, this one is the one that works for me in the end. So I'll do all of those things and then I count down. So instead of counting sheep, count your breath. And I start at a high number, start at 100. I've never gotten to 1. So the way you do it is you count down from 100 to 1. And if you lose count or you get to 1, you have to start back over again. I've had to start over because I lose count. That happens. And your mind might wander, but it might wander into dream world and you fall asleep. So that's kind of the last step. That's my secret weapon that really works for me.
Yep. Okay, that's good. Yes. Why don't you, as we finish out the main part of our conversation, guide us through that 1 minute?
Let's do it. So probably the listener is probably sitting right now. And obviously, if you're driving or something like that, don't close your eyes. You can just do the parts that are relevant for you. But if it's convenient for you, lie down. So settle down. First step is just settling down, getting in a comfortable position. For those of us seated, we're going to release the shoulders down, the hips down. Maybe have your palms facing down, really grounding and settling energy. And then bring the breath down. If it's safe or comfortable, feel your eyelids being heavy and going down to closing the eyes and bringing the breath down to allow the abdomen to move with the breath. Slow the breath down. Remembering that low and slow breath. And then we'll start with our face and we'll go down through our body. We'll start with the squeezing method because that really works. It's a natural muscle relaxant. It tells your muscles to let go. So let's start with the face. Pucker your lips, squint your eyes, and squeeze your face. Make a silly face and then sigh it out. Let it go. Release your facial muscles. Feel your jaw drop down. And then squeeze your shoulders, squeeze them toward your ears, squeeze the tension out, and drop them down, sigh it out. Release the shoulders down. Make your hands into fists, squeeze your arms, squeeze, bend your elbows, squeeze the muscles, and then drop your arms, release the hands down. Take your belly button, squeeze it in, squeeze that core deep, squeeze, suck in, and now allow the belly to move with the breath. Once again, bringing the breath down. Bring the awareness to the thighs, the feet, the legs. Squeeze, and release. Feel your legs release down. Feel your whole body release down. And we'll just count backwards from 10. So you might not lose count, but if you lost count, you'd start back over at 10 again. And we will then, when we're done, open our eyes. So inhale and exhale, that'll be 10. The next inhale and exhale will be 9. And keep counting, following your own breath rate and rhythm. Feel the energy settling down. Nice and low and slow breath. Whenever you are done, if you don't want to fall asleep, you're welcome to close your eye. Open your eyes now when you're done.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I don't know that I've ever pulled myself down in the middle of guiding an interview.
Yeah.
So that's a little different for me, but I will definitely keep that in mind in the middle of the night. I think we all have times that we're just awake and staring at the clock.
Yeah, and you don't have to remember every aspect of that. Whatever you remember, just remember the word down and then whatever you remember. The counting
Good
down
to
might
know.
be the main thing that works for you. Count down from 100, count down from 1,000.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
it keeps you focused.
Yes. And if people are wanting to learn more and try these, I love the word experiment. So, experiment with your 5-day science backed meditation. Tell people where they can get that.
Yes, go to meditationfortherealworld.com and you'll see the links for the book. You can join that challenge if you'd like at
Okay.
meditationfortherealworld.com.
Yes. This is available pretty much anywhere,
It
right?
is available anywhere.
Okay. And it's funny, you mentioned DK, the publisher. When I looked at it, I was like, I know that logo. I know that logo. It took me a minute, but yes, I have 2 boys and we had no shortage of Lego books and Star Wars books
Ah,
in
yes.
my house. And they had that same DK. Now, because it has been a year since we first connected and we started talking about meditation for the real world, that has been our focus today. But you have since had another book come out that I told you before we started, I have to tell people about this book. So it's called Science of Yoga. I know some of you out there love to learn about the muscles. You love to know what is going on underneath the skin. If that is you, this is the book you want to have. Like, this is so cool. We're both pulling up little pictures. It will show different poses of yoga, and then it shows which muscles are being activated. It tells you the muscles. So if you want to know all of these muscles, especially the ones that I start talking about every now and then, it is wonderful. It's just a beautiful, probably the coolest book I've ever seen from a fitness perspective for the real world, right? Like, for this is Science of Yoga for the real world, or body movements for the
Yeah.
real world. If you like learning about this kind of stuff, you guys grab this book because there's so much to learn. Just well done with both of these, Anne.
Yeah, thank you. This is the first of the DK Science of series. So you can
Okay.
check it out at scienceof.yoga, www.scienceof.yoga. It's wherever books are sold. If you go there, check it out, and you can see other books in the series too. This was the first in 2019. And now there's a Science of Weightlifting, Science of Stretch, Science of Pilates. So it's a whole series. Thank you for the high regards. DK is a beautiful publisher. I'm really happy with them.
Yes, they really are. It is a super informative, visually appealing. You have a lot of great stuff in there too. So, congratulations on that. And I have a couple questions I ask all my guests. One is, I love to learn about people's tattoos because I have found that those who have chosen to put tattoos on their body typically have a reason for it or a story behind it. So I was wondering, if you have a tattoo, if you would mind sharing the reason or the story behind it. And if you don't, but you had to get one, what would it be and where would it go?
Funny story about this is that when I was 16, I convinced my mother to let me get my belly button pierced if I promised I would never get a tattoo.
Oh,
And I actually have lived up to that promise. I regret the belly button piercing, especially recently having the baby, because it kind of looks different after that. If I were to get a tattoo, I think I would get "This too shall pass." It's a phrase that can be applied in any circumstance, whether it be good or bad. And it helps you to be present during the good times, playing with my son. It's like one day he won't be a little baby giggling at me, right? And in the bad times, when things are challenging, this too shall pass.
that's great. Where would you put it?
Probably on my arm, I think somewhere where I could see it, like on
Yeah.
my forearm.
And we'll assume your mom is okay with it.
At this
And
point.
this, okay. Do you have a Bible verse that you would like to share with us?
Yes, absolutely. Let me pull it up.
Sure, I have to do the same thing.
Okay. So my Bible verse is Hebrews 10:24. And let us consider how we may spur one another toward love and good deeds.
I love that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then tell people how they can connect with you, particularly on the socials, because
Yeah.
we haven't talked a lot about that.
I have a YouTube channel that has a lot of getting started with yoga and Tai Chi and meditation. I do a lot of chair yoga, really accessible, less than 10-minute practices. So my YouTube channel is Swanson Wellness. And then you can send me any questions, connect with me over DM. That's a great way to just actually talk to me on Instagram at scienceof.yoga.
That's good to know. I'm so glad you said that about the YouTube channel because I have people every now and then asking about yoga. I think one on there that I invited a local instructor in and we did a class. That's just not something that I lead. I will definitely practice it, but I don't lead. So I'm glad to have the resource in you. Okay, Anne, I am going to let you have the last word here. So we've talked about a lot. And if you can share one simple thing about our conversation that you want people to remember, big or small, it doesn't matter, but just one simple thing that you would like us to remember as we close out our time together.
I think our theme was really about down. So bringing the breath down, settling down, that squeeze and release technique down, counting down. Those tools you can use not only in the middle of the night when you're trying to fall asleep, but when you need to settle down during the day, right? Just take a few breaths by bringing the breath down, nose breathing, settling down. So I think that was a theme. If you came up with something, remember the word down.
That's wonderful. All right, that's all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.